Well, a big warm welcome and good morning, or wherever you are in the world. We welcome you back to the Ferrari HP Esports series on Saturday, and it's day 2 of our regional finals. Fresh off the back of yesterday, Norma Tomas managing to pull together 2 victories back to back in EMEA. Well, today we are going to be treating you with 2 broadcasts, one region of course, the APAC division, the Asian Pacific division, also part of China at the same time. And then later on, we will be live with the Americas. But today, here this morning especially, we are going to be focusing our attention on the Asia Pacific region and China as well. We are set for a glorious feast of action back again around Imola here in the Ferrari 499P car on iRacing. George Morgan here, your commentator once again. And of course, joining us also once again, Lewis McGlade. Lewis, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Slept well and ready for some more good racing. We had some cracking racing yesterday. We had some big incidents, though. Of course, race 1, that huge incident down into the first corner. Expectations in this race that, again, we might see something very similar when it comes to these drivers getting a little bit feisty into those opening turns at Tamburello.
Yeah, obviously some familiar names again, folks, heading into this morning's broadcast, and some names that are brand new as well. A couple of names actually featuring at the grand final last year, including Cody Deeth for one part example, and also Caleb Hydes here, Lewis. Could be the favourites here again tonight.
Yeah, I'd expect, Cody Deeth to be right up there. Damon Woodstow jumping on as well, 11 KI rated, someone to really expect to be right up the front there. Dylan Burst, also a driver to expect to be very much in contention for those top spots. But yeah, there's a fair few drivers out there, George, and any one of them can find their way up towards the front if they get that qualifying well.
Yeah, it can really go anywhere, folks, if there's anything that we could learn after seeing what we saw yesterday for the EMEA region. But of course, we've got two new regions to look at. Let's focus on the region breakdown, though, here this time. And obviously, like I said, we've ticked off the EMEA region for iRacing now. We move in to Asia Pacific. We also have Americas, which is coming up later. Asia Pacific also including China as well. We had EMEA, which takes place in the large continents, or the vast continents of Europe. That concluded yesterday's broadcast on iRacing, and here is the procedure. We had the hot lap challenges to kick things off in June and July, heading through to the regional qualifiers through September, October. We have now made it to the regional final stage, where all 3 regions will now be chasing places for the grand finals on the 3rd of December, and that will be coming around as soon, well, it'll be coming down very, very soon indeed, that's for sure. And of course, making their way through this phase, they have some procedures to follow in terms of qualifying races as well. Of course, a smart reminder for you, qualifying over 10 minutes tees up the race 1 grid, which will take place over 15 minutes, with race 2 following up as well. The grid for that taken from the results of race 1. And a little reminder in terms of how you qualify. Of course, the top 2 from EMEA on ACC will go through. Of course, we'll get onto iRacing now in a second, but this is a bit of a pivotal fact. EMEA will have 2 drivers from ACC that will move through, 1 from Americas, 1 from APAC. Of course, on iRacing, it'll be 2 from each region. If you go down to AC, it'll be 1 from each region. And as you can see, this is how it's broken down in terms of format as well. Winners obviously proceed to the grand final. For iRacing, the top 2 specifically proceed to the grand final. So very exciting stuff. In terms of the calendar, we have got 2 more Imola rounds to bring you. Of course, 2 more Imola regions, APAC and Americas, taking place on iRacing. That is here today on the 11th of October. Laguna Seca comes next as we move through to the 24th with Assetto Corsa. And then the following day, the 25th, Laguna Seca again for APAC and Americas. EMEA then kicks off at Watkins Glen on ACC on the 7th of November. The day after, we then move to the APAC and the Americas regions for Watkins Glen, also to conclude the regional finals segment. And we will know for sure as to who will be making their way through to the grand final at Ferrari World Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. But it's all to play for at this very early stage. And of course, not just Lewis McGlade joining me in the commentary box as well. We do have some expert advice joining us once again. Fresh from his debut here joining us in commentary yesterday. We welcome back Graham Carroll. Graham, how are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me back again today, guys. Good to be here.
It's great to have you back, Graham. Obviously, we witnessed a fantastic day yesterday. Plenty of action. It had to be said. A little bit chaotic at the very beginning, as we all saw. What were your clear takeaways from what we saw from the EMEA region yesterday?
It's all down to qualifying, right? You need to be there at the front of the sharp end. and avoid all the drama, right? The guys that kept their nose clean, stayed out front, really done the business last night. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top today.
Yeah, obviously, when we talk about the regions as well, Graham, obviously a little bit of a shorter variation of talent coming through from the Americas, Asia Pacific region. I know a few comments were made as well about the diversity in terms of the iRating that has been taken away. Obviously, this is the significant premise of iRacing. You can actually identify as to who's probably putting in the larger amount of work at one time on the sim. Will that be a defining factor tonight? We'd largely think so? Or?
I think the general, right, you go into any official race in iRacing, normally the guys with the most iRating are always up the front, so let's see, you never know, we could have a few surprises tonight, but I'm probably going to go with your 11k and 10k guys are the ones to watch tonight, I think.
Yeah, obviously, I think they're definitely the true and tested standard. I mean, Lewis, what are the key takeaways from your perspective from yesterday? Do you think we'll see something largely different today?
I think obviously, yes, qualifying well is what we were all talking about going into yesterday's event. I think that is very much the focus point here. They've got to nail qualifying to get in a solid position. But again, avoiding drama at that opening turn, which Valero did by reading what was going on around him. Yes, he straight line. Yes, he dropped back to 5th position, but was able to work his way through. Giuseppe Lafaro was the driver who was sent off yesterday, qualified in the 2nd spot. So he did all the work in qualifying and then had it ripped from him during that opening corner of the race. I think all the drivers will be very aware as to how tight things get at Tamburello. I think your heart won't start to calm down until maybe you've left Tozer on that first lap and you kind of know where things stand.
Yeah, and obviously based on what we saw from last year, the system of progression this year is vastly different. Of course, just having the 2 races, Lewis, it's a brutal exercise, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's 2 races to decide who's going to be the top 2 from each given evening. It's basically the top 2 on the points. So your standard F1 style points, FIA points. So 25 points for a victory, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 1 to decide between the top 10 over 2 races. Who's the highest point score? They go through. Who's second? They also go through. Everyone behind, we give the big old salute and the wave goodbye as we won't be seeing those until next year. Only 14 drivers, though, will be going into that season finale. Of course, 13 from the season. Also have the Thrustmaster wildcard, but 6 will be going through here for my race. We already have 2. We'll be getting 2 more here this morning and then 2 more later on this evening.
Yeah, obviously consistent finishes inside the top 2 as well from yesterday's results. Norbert Tamash and Valero. Of course, it was 2 victories for Norbert Tamash back-to-back, 2 second places from Valero, despite taking pole position in qualifying, going back-to-back with those as well. Another man who went back-to-back was Mateusz Luszak, Graham, who will probably feel a little bit hard done by that he wasn't able to, land a blow to get qualification for the grand final, but he could take a lot of learnings from it, and he definitely seemed to be on the pace as a driver.
He was there or thereabouts, wasn't he? He was the driver that was going to make something happen if it did. It's but again, that's what these things are all about. These competitions. If you're not in that top 2, it's good night, right? So, but no, listen. If he comes back next year, he's going to be in a stronger place. He's had the experience. He's learned off of the other drivers, and like you say, he was absolutely rapid last night. So, no reason why he can't come back and get him a place in that final next year.
Yeah, and obviously I wanted to ask you a little bit about the format in general. Obviously differing to last year, we've not just got GT3 cars. Obviously we're racing in the 499P here for the iRacing stage, but we have the 296 for ACC and the 488 in AC as well. So quite the variety in different McLaren models and cars making our way through to the grand final. Obviously it does present quite a compelling group then moving into the grand final. I mean, it's stunning, isn't it?
Any Ferrari car is stunning, right? It's just a great cars to drive. But no, listen, it's like I say yesterday, it's not an F1 car, it's not a GT car, it's definitely in its own sort of category, and it's not the easiest car to drive. These new hypercar sort of that came about. So there's a lot of management going on with the braking under traction, and yeah, like I say, they're just not an easy car to drive around this tight Imola circuit with a lot of cars around you. So there's a lot of effort going to have to be put in, race practice, qualifying practice. They'll all be working hard last night and this morning getting ready for this race. So it's going to be an exciting one, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be special. Obviously, Lewis, what are your expectations in terms of how we see things pictured? Obviously, we could probably get a little bit of a look heading through the ACC and AC, sort of routes then before reaching the grand final. But when you club these drivers together after they get qualified heading through to the grand final. You're mixing largely different groups of drivers that have tried and tested 3 different styles of cars, really. All of them driving Ferraris, but obviously you've got a prototype, but then you've got 2 different kinds of GT3. That's quite compelling, right?
Yeah, it's one of those ones to look at where it's not just 3 different platforms that will be that are being raced here with iRacing AC and ACC. Those 3 different cars do make such a significant change to your driving style. Being good in all 3 is going to be critical to winning, obviously, in December at a season finale. I think, again, the big thing that we've spoken about a little bit yesterday, I think that the big defining factor is not just whether you're good at changing simulator and jumping between this, that, and the other, and the cars and such and circuits, but when it gets to that season finale, it's the LAN environment. This realistically, as tough as it is, this is the easy bit. Getting to that season finale, comparatively speaking, is the easy bit. Winning it in the grand final, that's the really hard bit, and that's where I think it will be almost impossible to tell who is going to be that top driver when we get to Abu Dhabi in December. Yeah,
and obviously just to touch on that transition as well, Graham, moving from the online experience into the LAN event. You've done it yourself many times already. What sort of insight can you give us in terms of what it's like making that step from an online scenario to a LAN scenario?
So the biggest thing, right, you're obviously, like what Lewis just said there, everyone's at home, everyone's on their comfortable sim rig that they do hours and hours on each day, and you know it inside out. Then you get on a plane and you travel to Abu Dhabi and you get on a rig that you've never sat on before, and it's not exactly the same dimensions, and you're not as comfortable, and everything just doesn't fall into place as it does at home. So you really need to adapt to that rig. Even monitor refresh rates, everything can be slightly different, right? So just the tiniest little thing can put you off. And honestly, I'm kind of bad on that aspect as well. I love my home simulator. I'm so happy in it. I'm so comfortable. And then I get chucked into something that's maybe not quite to my expectation. But listen, everyone's got the same. Everyone needs to adapt. And adaptability in motorsport is everything. So it is probably one of the biggest factors, like Lewis said. And getting through here today is maybe not the easiest, but definitely it's going to be a lot harder when you're on that stage in Abu Dhabi. So it's the work is not over after today, that's for sure.
No, not at all. Obviously, the drivers need to have their wits about them, making their way through the process of the online rounds into the LAN event. That is ultimately the big test, and very soon we will be undergoing a big test through the course of qualifying as well, folks. Obviously, the work in practice underway, and very soon we will be seeing them take to the circuit. Obviously, some key names to watch out for. We mentioned a few of them. I mean, Cody Deeth. I want to go through some of the prior results to us getting into this. Obviously, hot laps round 1, that went the way of Damon Woods, who was largely the fastest through that process. Then we had round 2. First place in that was Jie Yufei Lee. And then onwards into the regional qualifiers to decide yet further drivers to make their way through. In terms of regional qualifiers 1, we did have, kicking things off, Levi Jordison, who went on to win Grid 2. For regional qualifier 1, and he also did the same in race 2 at the same time. So comes in great form. Liam Hides as well, winner of regional qualifier 1 and also winner of race 2 as well. See, we've got quite a few drivers here, quite a spread, Lewis, that come into this in great form.
Yeah, indeed, which is why picking out who's going to be on top today is quite tricky. This man, Damon Woods, is definitely one to keep an eye on. Been a solid lap thus far. We do expect this qualifying session to get faster and faster, and there's that lock up on the front right going into the second apex of Aqua Minerale, which is so easy to do at this early point of the qualifying session. Now into the chicane and completely makes a meal of that one. I think even you could have done that better, George, but still, Damon Woods will rejoin, drop back. It won't be too major. These early laps we were discussing yesterday, they're not so important. It's just about building confidence. Damon Woods, all these drivers towards the top, Cody Deeth, etc. They'll know that we're not going to be getting under the 1:30s in the first couple of laps, but those final lap or so in this session, that's where we expect the big times to come from.
Yeah, Will Chen just popping himself in the 4th fastest as well with the 1:34s. Obviously, we know that we can see faster times than what we're seeing right now. These are all about the bankers. Cody Deeth now hitting the heights, and obviously mentioning Cody Deeth and the form coming into this one. And just as I say that, Caleb Hides, 2 drivers, Lewis, that made it through to the grand final last year.
Yeah, do you not think they'll be coming into this feeling that extra pressure of like, well, I mean, we've done it once, so we've got to do it again, right? And there's the opportunities there, right? The difference is, you know, having drivers, you know, the likes of Damon Woods, who is the highest I-rated driver on this grid, sat there only a couple of spots behind. It's not going to be an easy one. We take a look at Shirakawa into this final sector as a few more good times come in.
Yeah, obviously the main difference is now that Cody Deeth and Caleb Hives have to cope with, as opposed to last year where they progressed using the Ferrari 296. They're now in the Ferrari 499P, so now things are very different in terms of the machinery that they are actually possessing here at this Imola circuit. Of course, we're back here at the region of Emilia-Romagna at a circuit that opened back on the 25th of April, 1953, over 72 years ago. As now we watch as Damon Woods makes his way out of Variante Alta and heading downhill through towards the Ravazza section. Of course, he's got 5 cars in front of him at the moment. That include Angsa Colthorne as well, who's now managed to plant himself into P5. Callum Newton just in front of him, and Eric Schau, who's also sat in third. I believe he was also a representative in last year's events as well. Will Chen popping into 7th fastest. Here comes Damon Woods. We'll see whether he can progress and move to the top, and he does, a 130.0, and we are now 100th away from entering the 129s, Lewis.
Yeah, indeed. It was in the 129s that we needed to get to grab pole position yesterday, so we do expect them to go slightly faster in those top positions, but you never know how things will unfold with this group and who's got that. Rajesh goes up into 7th position as we see Park Chuan goes up into what is now 11th because Lueng's got up into 8th. So let's say a few good times still to come in. I think if you're qualifying on the front 3 rows, that's where you're going to see your top 2 come from, as we'll see Angsa Colthorne come up towards the line. Yeah.
Angsa Colthorne now making his way up towards the line, going 9th fastest with a 131.903, and moves ahead of Alex Seymour as well at the same time, who's now down in 10th place. Levi Jordison dropped out of the top 10. He was briefly inside it for some time, of course, the dual winner of the regional qualifying phase, but unable to quite capitalise here in qualifying so far. I mean, this is it, though, isn't it, Graham? You move out of the qualifying sense into getting into the regional finals. You may have gone ahead and won those races, but here in qualifying, where everything counts, you can't afford to make a mistake.
Absolutely not. It's we've seen yesterday a 29.895 was pole position, and I think the P2, P3 were within half a tenth or something. So yep, Damon Woods on the pole at the minute, only. Well, there we actually go, right? An 8.79 for pole, so he's actually quicker than yesterday's pole. 4 tenths ahead of P2, so Damon is flying at the minute, so I'll be interested to see if your Cody and Caleb can get a bit closer, but nah, this is it's ramping up here at the end of qualifying for sure.
Yeah, crunch time here. At the moment, Damon Woods in control with that 129.880. That last gas that placed him even higher up at the very top. Cody Deeth currently sat just under 4.5 tenths away. Then we have Ewan Baker. Of course, very much like Graham Carroll, a flying Scotsman here tonight, or here today at Imola. And further back, Caleb Hyde's currently sat down in 4th. And we've got Seymour now, who is unable to progress inside the top 10 just yet, remaining in 11th place. But there's green sectors all over the place at the moment, Lewis.
Yeah, indeed. I will say, Seymour there, I think that session will now be done because, again, we've only got a minute left to go. As soon as we reach the end of this session, it is over. Smith and Blair switching over down at the rear end of the, or there in the middle of the field. 17th now for Smith. Blair progressed up into 19th. We look at 6th place Newton. A couple of hundredths of a second to be gained would get him ahead of Rajesh, but needs to find over half a second to get onto the 2nd row of the grid. At the moment, they seem fairly locked in. Any further improvement coming in from Damon Woods? Sectors are looking pretty good. This could actually be an improvement. First sector's a little bit down, but only by a few hundredths. Across the line, it ends up being a 1 minute 30. Terrible that time. 29.973 though comes in from Cody D.
Yeah, he joins the 29 club. Also a 130.3 from Ewan Baker, which is a personal best, but not quite enough to improve from P3 any higher into the front row. For the back, it was a 131 also from Callum Newton. Caleb Hydes currently resting on 130s as well. And that concludes qualifying. It's Damon Woods who launches himself on pole, much like Kyle Valero did yesterday. The only difference being Damon Woods would largely love to take this from lights to flag, Lewis.
Yeah, indeed. And the drama always comes down into that chicane there, Tamburello. So All the drivers will be acutely aware of the drama that could end up happening through such a tight section of the circuit, and eyes will be glued not only ahead but to those mirrors. You need to be very aware as to what's happening behind you, side by side, and I think especially first and second, it's not trying anything too dramatic. No heroics down to the first corner, but for those behind, as was proven yesterday, it is so difficult to overtake round here. Possible, yes, but very difficult. If you don't make that progress on that first lap, it could be curtained before we've even really completed a lap here at Imola.
Yeah, obviously a hotly contested group up at the front end, but only a couple of drivers making it into the 129s. Graham, obviously Damon Woods, Cody Deeth, the two we've got to earmark as pace setters in this race for sure.
We said that at the start of the day, right? The two highest I-rated drivers of the day are probably the ones to watch out for, so we were spot on there. But nah, great to see Ewan with the Scottish flag there, and Ewan Baker in P3, so nah, it's a great top three. And again, I think others would have watched the race last night. They'll have maybe learned from turn one, you know, maybe what to do, what not to do, obviously, after the little incident. So I'll be interested to see how this race goes down. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, obviously Levi Jordison, I mentioned it earlier on as well, Graham, the man who won 2 races in the regional qualifiers to get his place here in this regional finals phase. Obviously, he'll be starting from 9th spot. What's he got to do from that position on the grid?
I think as well, like, you never know what can happen, like just like yesterday, right? So I think you don't go too crazy into turn one, even lap one. You maybe just let it see how it plays out. Maybe try and gain a spot if you can. And then, yeah, you really just need to go on the attack if there's not many incidents on lap one. But we know what motorsport's like, right? It could be a pile-up turn one. There could be nothing. We just really don't know. So you really just need to suss it out as you go. And if nothing really happens, yeah, you need to start making some moves, because we've only got 2 guys that go through as the same as yesterday, right? So it's all about progressing. So keep your nose clean, and yeah, you've got to start making the moves up towards that P1 or P2 position.
Yeah, obviously, Lewis, if you are on that second row, Ewan Baker and Caleb Hydes, they probably look on with great confidence, knowing that obviously the man that went on to win 2 races yesterday essentially by and large qualified on the second row, that being Norbert Tamas.
Yeah, certainly so. That was obviously courtesy of some of that drama that was caused at the opening corner, but you're absolutely right. I think they've got a great position there, staring at the rear end there going into that first corner. It's quite a long run. Depending on when the control is taken from that start line, it's still a fairly long run from there, which is where we're looking at here down to Tamburello. I think it will be sat in their head, and yeah, they know what they're doing behind the wheel of a car, that they need to make that move relatively early, right? If you know, like I say, they can't wait for this race to unfold. They can't wait for the top 2 to check away. I know it's not the biggest thing here, because obviously everyone's practiced, or that and the other, but to give you the reference, Damon Woods 11.1k I rated, Cody Deeth 10.5k, Ewan Baker 4.9k I rated, Caleb Hydes 6.2. There is quite a large jump from the I rating of that second row to the I rating of the lead row, and they're all aware of that when they're on the grid, so they know that turn 1 could be now or never.
Yeah, obviously on-track positioning is so key as well. And when we talk about, I know we touched on this a bit, quite a lot yesterday, Graham, but just for the viewers at home that probably aren't familiar with, should we say, necessarily the logistics of making your way around Imola, where would you say the main overtaking points are?
Definitely into turn 1, after obviously the long straight. Normally, if you do make a move into 1, that's kind of goes through 1, 2, 3, and then down into the next again chicane. Then obviously you've got the hairpin. Can sometimes be quite tricky, because if you hang it around the outside, you get the run on the outside up the hill. But bar that, down the hill, all this, that's very tough to make moves. Into the last 2 corners, it's all about kind of setting up for the straight into turn 1. So it's honestly not the easiest place to pass, especially in this type of car, how quick they are. But if you want to make it to that final, we've got to see some moves, right? So.
Of course you do. You've got to be in it to win it at the end of the day. And at the moment, we have got Damon Woods and Cody Deeth on the front row as the pace car makes its way around the Ravazza sections, with a string of Ferrari 499Ps just in behind, getting set ready for the race to begin for our second venture around Imola, a second region as well. We put the European region to bed yesterday, the EMEA region. We now move through to the Asian Pacific, China region as well at the same time. Damon Woods, Cody Deeth, your front row. They are line astern, and in the number 1 car, it is Damon Woods on the right-hand side. 2 now your left. as we now watch them rev the engines. It's pedal to the metal, and it's go! Go, 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 go. 5 lights go out, and it is still Cody Death and Damon Woods making their way down through towards Tamburello, and Damon Woods getting a lovely start, but he's overshot the corner a little bit, offering an opportunity now to Death, but a massive collision coming through Tamburello, and you can just see there the 15 has really come across, but that's Sengwin Park from South Korea who's taken a twist, and there's a yellow car gone off as well. Ang Sucklethorn has gone off, as well as Park further back. We saw that happen. Shirakawa has already gone back as well, and Blair to the bottom at the same time, and he's in the pits. A sequence of meatballs there, Lewis McGlade.
Yeah, certainly so. Dramatic opening corner there. I think it was Rajesh who was looking to the outside of the second row to make it 3 wide down in the first corner that started to cause some of the dramas there, and the drama was certainly formed. It's allowed the top 2 to check away. Now, all they'll be thinking between each other is how vital is this 25 points versus 18 points for second spot? And I think the answer to that question is, well, yeah, you definitely want it. As another car off the road, Hides is down the road.
Yeah,
must have had drama and damage.
Yeah, that's a significant one. Caleb Hides in free fall down through the order. There he is now, folks. Remember, qualified last year for the grand final in the Ferrari HP Esports Series. And unfortunately, if he carries on like this has really put a massive dent in his hopes, has it not, Lewis?
Yeah, big time. I think I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but look at how many meatball flags there are on that field. More cars going off the road. There's a lot of that black and orange, a lot of cars being dragged back into pit lane for damage repair, and it seems as though things are falling away towards the back end of this field. And for drivers, the likes of Caleb Hides, I think it's pretty much as good as done, unfortunately.
Yeah, Stan Cow also he's actually gained 6 places off the back of the chaos. The biggest gainer really towards the rear is the number 9 car of Zhong Wang Kai, who you actually can't necessarily see on your timing screen. He currently registers as a dot on your timing tower. That is Zhong Wang Kai in the group of cards. He's currently down in 11th place in according to what we're seeing, but 15 places up from where he started, so really doing a great job as now we watch as cars start to filter their way through. Smith dropping back, Caleb Hides trying to fight back through the field and up into 14th now, and on the back of Callum Newton. Yeah,
Hong Kong Ju as well, up into 7th position, plus 17 on the race start, up into that 7th spot. We go back up to Akash Rajesh, who was involved in that incident in the opening corner. Now, these are all fighting over some very important positions. That final step on the podium, the 15 points, the starting, of course, in 3rd in the next race as well. It's really important they do so, because that could genuinely give you the opportunity to work your way through into our grand final. And Rajesh is off the road here, opens up the door for Xiao and Flueng to come through.
Yeah, Eric Zhao now moving up into 3rd, and Leo Leung also moving up into 4th by that same token as well. It's just all been about keeping it on the racetrack, Graham, and we've seen a lot of moments, a few fits and starts through every single apex. We now watch as Callum Newton loses out to Ewan Baker. I'm sure we'll give that one a big thumbs up. The Scot now moving up into 13th.
Exactly, yeah, tough start for Ewan and Khalib as well. Both of them started, 3rd and 4th, and down to sort of 15, 16 at one point there, so a bit of a rough couple of laps for them. But yeah, after it all happened, it's basically sort of almost race over for your Damon Woods and Cody Death. They've checked out 5.2 seconds, and when you've got 11 KI rating and 10 KI rating, you know how to finish races. That's a massive part of that, right? You finish races, you get the I rating, and this is what they're going to do here. They're just going to follow each other home. Oh, a bit of a moment there. And yeah, they're looking really strong in the front too.
They certainly are. That's Hua Lee that we just saw spinning off into the gravel trap and is now sat in behind Shirakawa, who moves up into 17th place. But Damon Woods now starting to break away here from Cody Death. Just really, it comes down to apex positioning, outright pace, and Damon Woods seemingly packing a lot of it, Lewis.
Yeah, Cody Death set the fastest lap of the race on the previous one. I think Damon Woods was like, I'll see you there, and I'll raise you. And away he goes. 1.2 seconds clear. Absolutely dominating this race, and doesn't seem as though those 25 points will have an opportunity for Cody Death to steal away. As up towards the line comes Damon Woods. Definitely the fastest lap on that one. That was about 4/10 faster than Cody Death. But I think both of them had off tracks on that one, because Xiao's the one who actually holds the purple lap, and sitting in 3rd position, starting to check away from Leung behind as well.
Yeah, obviously there was approximately 3/10 or just under 3/10 between Damon Woods and Eric Zhou's time in the favour of Damon Woods, but obviously, like you said, due to perhaps some corner cutting, it not validating as an official lap, as Jordison now loses out to Caleb Hyde, who has fought his way back inside the top 10, and that is magnificent from Caleb Hyde, managing to find his way through out of Tamburello, and now the run down to Villeneuve, he's inside the top 10.
You can see there is, so we're riding on board with Jordison. You can see on the right-hand side of Hyde's car, there is a fair amount of damage on the rear right, I believe. And the thing is, like, dealing with it brilliantly, holding on really well, considering the car's condition, considering the early drama, and even like outside of damage, even just like the mental position there, you can see it there. Now, it doesn't look that major from this point of view. I can tell you that will be affecting how this car is driving around this circuit, which is such a sensitive circuit and a sensitive car anyway.
Yeah, absolutely right. And obviously, Graham, when you're in Caleb Hyde's position, it's all about getting that starting position for the beginning of race 2.
Yep, you can't be having any more drama. You've really just got to make sure you bring this race home in the top 10, get a good starting position for the next one, and basically hope for the drama to kick off in the next one and you make it through, right? So it's but yeah, like what Lewis was saying, that rear damage there is probably putting the whole aero package out of configuration. So it's he'll have his work cut out for sure.
Yeah, an expert drive here from Cody Deeth to recover like he has done. Obviously trying to close up at the moment on car 9 of Zhong Kai, who's now currently sat in that P9 position inside the top 10, contacting him down the straight on the run down towards Tamburello. And that is Ewan Baker going toe-to-toe with Levi Jordison, of course, twice a winner over the regional qualifiers. And they're going to bump wheel-to-wheel once more. And it looks like Jordison has been sent wide. And through goes Callum Newton, Lewis.
Jordison did not want to give that one up to Ewan Baker at all. Weird contact on the start-finish straight, which I think might have been a little bit more towards Jordison, but then it's just so you take such a weird line because it's not a straight. You kind of go through all those kicks, of course, and start finish, yeah, a little bit of a brush between them, which is a bit odd, and then Jordison leaving everything on the table into Tamburello. A little bit of contact between the pair of them, and Jordison off, Newton through. Just a little bit messy. Very enjoyable and some great racing still, but at the moment, like I say, Baker also doing that recovery drive as following basically as close as he can to Caleb Hyde, who's up now into 10th position, but he is closing down on Okai in 9th position as well. So I say there is definitely more to be gained here for Caleb Hyde. At least 8 positions on the table.
Yeah, and bear in mind, we've still got another half of the race to go because we've only just hit the 7 minutes and 50 mark as we now once again move our attention to Hong Jun Zhu, who is currently sat down in 7th place. Yet another driver who has gained 17 places since the start of the race, much like the man sat in P9 of Zhong Wang Kai as they come down in towards the Tamburello section and now look to make their way down towards Villeneuve. Personal best coming through for Will Chen and also for Zhong Wang Kai as well at the same time as now we watch them head down in towards Villeneuve. This time this is Zhu now trying to keep Will Chen at bay as they now look to jettison their way down through towards the next section, or should I say Tian Zhang as they go wheel to wheel, coming up through Tosa, very soon up towards the Piratella. So it's wheel to wheel between them. So they take the charge uphill, and it's still Zhang who has the nose of his car in front, but going the long way round is Zhu, and he's going to carry the speed of his car around the outside, and that is a majestic move from Huan Zhangzhu.
Oh, that was very nice. Just made it well. I mean, look, it takes 2 to tango, but they definitely did. And Tian Zhang left the room, but also left the door open for Zhu to put on an absolutely incredible move. We don't tend to see too many around the outside, the Piratella around the outside, but fairly brave and made it work. We now head back to this fight for 8th position, which does have Caleb Hyde as part of it, and we ride on board with Hyde now.
Yeah, of course, Caleb Hyde's looking to move up into 9th place, and both of these cars have Will Chen and Caleb Hyde's on the back of number 9, Zhong Wang Kai, who is now up into 8th place and looking to break away from Will Chen, who is just sat behind him. And if anything, the pace is with Caleb Hyde's right now. He's in the wheel tracks of Will Chen in front, and surely he's going to look to open the door now. This is the best possible opportunity to flex your muscles in this Ferrari 499P with the high degree of straight line speed you're going to carry heading through and towards Tamburello. Will he go late on the brakes? No, he's going to just chance his arm a little bit later on, but that is a personal best for Caleb Hyde, who is all over the back of Will Chen there, takes an uncomfortable ride over the curbs. Incredible to see, though, Graham, that despite the damage, he's still flexing personal best laps.
Yeah, I seen him there. He was sort of flying through the turn 1 apex, but actually out of the last corner, he had the run, but he just never got him down the straight. So I think maybe the damage might just hinder your top speed down the straight where he could be struggling. So to still be doing the pace he is with the damage is really, really incredible. So it looks like he's going to get the move done eventually. Oh, but nah, he's working his way through, and he's just got to get a solid position for the start of the next race. That's the main thing here.
Yeah, obviously, no doubt he's a little bit frustrated after what happened at the very start. Of course, one of the leading candidates you'd expect coming through the regional finals phase, and just looking to try and keep composed as he closes up on the back of Will Chen, coming up through towards Variante Alta, fresh after taking part in the grand final last year. We'll be hoping that he can reciprocate the same thing again. He's now back on the tail of Will Chen on the outset of Alta and heading down towards Ravazza. I'd imagine he'll have the home straight again in mind, Lewis.
Yeah, certainly. So one thing that could potentially assist this is that Zhongyan Chai has pulled away from this. So there's no slipstream assistance back to Chen. So this could allow Hyde to come through now onto the start-finish straight. Caleb Hyde's picking up that slipstream. I do agree with what Graham was saying, what you were saying about. I think that damage is actually causing some straight-line speed issues on that car. Let's see what it's like down into that first corner and how brave he's going to be. Didn't expect Chen to put up much of a fight, but basically got to the point and went, right, okay, if you're that desperate, mate, off you go. Yeah,
clinical there from Caleb Hyde, and obviously no fight put up by Will Chen. I think he knew what he was in the middle of at that point, but it's 1.6 now between Caleb Hyde and the man in P8 right now of Zhong Yuankai, who is still holding on to that P8 position with a 6.9 gap to Zhang in 7th place. So it looks like the best that Caleb Hyde could probably hope for is 8th position, should he be able to challenge the car in front. But obviously still some minutes to be taken. We're now moving into minute 12 of 15 here with 3 minutes to go. There is Damon Woods at the top of the shop, about to conclude yet another lap. He is holding the best lap of the race so far, a 1:30.172. No personal best sectors on that last lap, or this lap in particular. So we'll cross the line and set in place another 1:30.178, though it is still very much on par. In fact, he was only 6 thousandths, Lewis, off his best lap that he had set prior, but more importantly, posting faster laps than Cody Deeth in behind.
It's very impressive laps we're seeing from the top two, but as Graham was saying, like, you don't get to the, you past your 10 KI rating by not knowing how to finish races, right? Those two will not make a mistake between now and the end of the race. It just won't happen. But their day is definitely not done. They are certainly not qualified. Remember, it is the top two on points at the end of the racing this morning for us here in Europe, of course, and they will be acutely aware that they have to do turn 1 again. They have to execute that well. There was already a bit of drama behind them, so yeah, there could be drama around them going into that second race. So it's just about finishing things off here. At the moment, again, it is a perfect drive from our top two, though.
Yeah, Levi Jordison also setting a personal best over the last lap, but has also been given a flag as well at the same time. Currently sat in 14th and being closed up upon by Matthew Smith, who's already 2 places up on where he started the particular race. Now he's only 3/10 in behind Jordison right now, so could see Jordison under threat if this continues as they climb the hill out of Tosa through towards the very fast Piratella section, which then leads them down to the descension in towards Aqua Minerale, as we now see the 2 black liveried cars chasing after the red. Of course, Lee also part of this. That's Hugh Lee, who was also involved in a little bit of a skirmish at the start of the race. At the same time, it's hard to really pinpoint one driver that wasn't involved in some kind of skirmish inside that bottom 10. Really, as Shirakawa now leaves the pit escape and back out onto the track. As we run on board with Matthew Smith coming through Variante Alta, you've really got to tread on that chicane with kid gloves there, Graham.
Honestly, it's insane. It's like you can do sometimes like qualifying, you can do an amazing lap, you come to the chicane and you just see it and you know you have to send it through there, and it can sometimes be the easiest, but it can also be the hardest thing to do. So a very tricky corner. But yeah, no, just watching people here, you know, you've got the front 2 guys who have got all the experience, but you've got other guys who came from last up 18 positions, and you know, some guys aren't here to win, but some guys are here for experience for the future, you know. So it's a definitely mix of drivers, but really great to see.
Yeah, the white flag being issued as well as the drivers cross the line. It looks like this is going to be the final one. Damon Woods now leading the way with a 2-second gap to Cody Death. It's just been dominance, really, from Damon Woods here as we see a car off. Goodness me, Lewis.
Yeah, I think it was a back marker, so we're all good on that one. But a little bit of drama for this lot to all navigate. You're absolutely right. I think it's only got a couple of corners left to go as Damon Woods. It's been an absolutely epic drive.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff. You can just see there, barely an emotion registering on his face, but I'm sure he'll be thrilled as he's about to cross the line to take a stellar victory. As a flash of the lights registers that he is the winner of the first race here in the Asian Pacific region, here in the Ferrari HP Esports Series. Cody Death, another brilliant display, coming home in second, and Eric Hajau managing to move 5 places higher on where he started to take a really good third ahead of Leo Lung, who also managed to find 4th as well. But a great drive from Caleb Hydes. Surely, if they were given a cleaner run, he would have had a great chance at this as well. No question, we'll look forward to seeing what he does when we move into race 2, because largely he now has a top 10 place, Lewis, which is better than what he could have had.
Yeah, I mean, look, has kept his nose clean throughout the rest of the race, got involved with it, and confidently worked with the order. I think you and Baker are also in the same camp as Caleb Hyde, being frustrated by how this evening has unfolded, and realistically for those, especially for Caleb Hyde there, who does score a couple of points in this race, they need drama in the second race later on. I think there's a few irritated drivers crossing the line here after a dramatic opening race. The top 2 have absolutely no idea what happened when it came to drama in that race.
No, they were very much left on their own, weren't they? And I think that's ultimately, I mean, it was closer, wasn't it, Graham? Because we saw Woods running quite deep coming through Tamburello, and Death very nearly capitalised.
Exactly. But honestly, again, these guys are that experienced and they know what they're doing. Like, are they really going to battle and cost yourself time that then lets P3 catch up and makes this whole thing a bit more interesting? Probably not, right? They're just going to work together and pull away. And honestly, just, I think they both think that this is, and also they're the ones that are in the positions to qualify now. So maybe they tense up a bit for the next race, and P3, P4, P5, but they've got nothing to lose, right? So it's it can get quite interesting in a race too.
Yeah, no, it's going to be certainly, you know, all or nothing really heading into the next race. But here are the provisional results at the end of race 1. Damon Woods taking 25 points off the back of race 1. Cody Death now on 18, with Eric Hajau after his efforts moving up the roster, and 15 points against his name after finishing 3rd. Leo Lung in 4th on 12, then Akash Rajesh on 10 in 5th place. Hong Zhengzhu in 6th place with 8 points. Tian Zhang on 6 points in 7th, then Zhong Wankai in 4-point territory in 8th place as well. We move down to 9th as well with Caleb Hyde, who put in a strong recovery drive in a car that was certainly less than optimal in comparison to where he started, with 2 points against his name with Will Chen on 1. And then we have Yuki Sirikawa, Ewan Baker, Callum Newton, Kin Long Lee, Jia Yufei Lee, as well as Jackie Chung, all on 0 points as it stands, as the drivers list themselves from 11th all the way down to 16th. Of course, a big thank you as well to our series sponsors, Thrustmaster, Next Level Racing as well, also Puma, as well as Bitdefender and Richard Mille as well. A stunning first race to kick things off there, Lewis. Obviously, I would imagine the heat is largely going to be turned up ahead of race 2 coming up just shortly.
Yeah, it has to be. Like I said, I think if Damon Woods and Cody Death get through Tamburello cleanly, especially if they get a gap like what they had in the previous race courtesy of that drama, it's done. Those two will calmly drive to the end, and they won't necessarily care which way round they are, because they are there. The thing, when you get to that level of driving and racing, you know, you understand the rules, you understand the format, you're coming into it aware that it doesn't matter if you're first or second. The top 2 drivers go through into our grand finale, and they know that a first or second for them will basically guarantee that. So if they get through that opening corner, then they'll be pretty chill to drive to the end for 15 minutes, and they won't make a mistake, and it's fine. But the rest of the field also needs to be fully aware of that. They need to then get through in that opening complex of corners. They need to find a way past before the end of lap 1. Otherwise, those two will set sail.
Yeah, and obviously now, for those that are starting on either the 2nd, 3rd, 4th row, there's going to be such a high emphasis placed on the start of this race, right?
Big time, big time. It's the start where all the difference is made. I mean, it's the start where they were able to pull out that big lead in race 1, courtesy of all the drama. Which, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was Rajesh looking to the outside that made it 3 wide. Not saying that he was the cause of incident. Obviously, we only saw it that one time when it was live, but it was that instigating and making it 3 wide that then caused the drama amongst the rest of them. And it was a pretty hefty crash that took quite a lot of drivers in the field, and there is no guarantee at all that that won't happen again.
I think by and large, I think it was around 6 drivers that made their way into the pits on the opening lap, which was truly sensational. As we take another look back at Imola, once again panning the cameras across down the illustrious long straight, where we have witnessed phenomenal races. For instance, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in recent history, but also countless GT races that are held here. And we see generally a lot of the Ferrari 296s on offer, even in real life, around this circuit. But today we get to enjoy the Ferrari 499P here on iRacing, which is fantastic to witness as well at the same time. 3 different cars, all Ferrari branded, of course, for the Ferrari HP Esports Series. HP, proud partners of Ferrari, and of course the HP Esports Series also. So great to have them along for the ride with us. And we now look ahead to our second race of the evening. Graham, just to get you to weigh in on this, what can we expect ahead of race 2? Will there be gambling? Will there be drama? What do you think?
It's obviously we don't want any gambling that's going to end someone else's chance of making it to the final. We obviously don't want any of that. But like you say, turn 1, lap 1, you want to make it to the end of lap 1. But if you're in P3, P4, P5 looking in, you've really got to make a move. You've got to try and stick your nose in. You've got to make something happen. Get one of these Damon Woods or Cody Deeth to just run wide somewhere so you get a chance. But you know how strong these two are, so it's going to be very tough, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be very tight. Obviously, early movements are going to be key. Drivers picking their spots, positions on the run down in towards Tamburello, where all of a sudden a relatively wide enough long straight will then start to shrink as you make your way through the apexes of turns 1, 2, and 3. So we'll soon see who's going to come out on top in that exchange. Will it be the same case again that Damon Woods and Cody Deeth string themselves out a little bit further? Of course, Eric Hajau now in touching distance of the front row as well, along with Leo Lung. What is Caleb Hydes going to pull off? What is Ewan Baker going to pull off as well? Remember, those 2 drivers fighting their way back into the roundabout positions of the top 10 as now the Ferrari 499Ps make their way up towards the line. The lights will soon blaze red, and we'll be back underway here in the Ferrari HP Esports Series for race 2. And they do go red, and they'll soon go out. It's pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 go. Great start for Damon Woods, and he's being joined as well by Cody Deeth now as they fly down through towards Tamburello. Woods, Deeth, Hajau, Lung, Rajesh, and Hydes going wheel to wheel. Hydes has had a monstrous start and has managed to find his way into 5th, Lewis.
Brilliant start, like you say, from Hydes to get up to 5th. There is a crash in the background as Yu goes round, unfortunately, into the barrier quite hard in the exit of Tamburello. On the left-hand side, the drivers leave that opening corner. Caleb Hydes going on the attack on Leung as well as we climb the hill, but it's been a perfect start for our top 2 as they break away to almost a second on those behind.
Yeah, brilliant start from Caleb Hydes. He's there in the white liveried car, currently pressurising Lung at the moment. Leo Lung, who's currently occupying 4th. And just, well, around about 0.4 of a second away from Eric Hajau. Caleb Hydes really needs to strike early, really, while the gaps are minimal, just so it gives him a chance perhaps on the top 2. Remember, he needs ideally maximum points to get anywhere near a spot here this time.
Yeah, and the thing is by the time that he's going to get up into 3rd position, it feels like there might be quite a large margin between 1st and 2nd, and then the group behind, which means that for Caleb Hydes, who, like you say, can walk away from this race with nothing less than 2nd spot. He is probably going to get Leung here, then, courtesy of that slowdown. At least he'd hope that. Yeah,
Leo Leung, of course, being supplied with that yellow flag. That does mean a slowdown has been issued, so Caleb Hydes should be able to get past, but no, apparently not. That slowdown has come to an end, and now Caleb Hydes, though, might get a chance heading down the long straight leading through towards Tamburello. He is riding that rear wing on that Ferrari 499P, and they're going to be side by side as now Damon Woods coming across the line sets the fastest lap of the race, as you'd expect on the opening lap, coming down in towards Tamburello, and it's Hydes who capitalises, reached the heights of P4, and now a second back from Eric Hajau.
Yeah, Leung kind of saw that one coming and was like, look, I can't leave it to the high side here at Tamburello, and so Hydes works his way through. Shall the next one for Caleb Hydes to get to, I think, a drive to third would be something that he'd be very impressed by, and it would be a superb drive. Unfortunately, third place would not be good enough. He needs to win, and he needs drama as well for either Cody Death or Damon Woods. It's a long shot, but look, you never really know with these drivers. They can find something special by digging deep. It doesn't seem as though Cody Death is starting out with the same speed as he did necessarily in the previous race. The gap's already a second between Woods and Death as Newton looks to the inside of Lee going into Aqua Minerale.
Yeah, Newton definitely looking imposing and enforcing Lee then to make a mistake. He gets a slow down, so that should be fundamental here now for Newton to move through up into 10th place, and indeed it is, coming in towards Variante Alta, and he now moves inside the top 10. Great start for Ewan Baker as well, now up into 7th place. It looks like it's a formality again though, Graham. Woods and Death carrying on into the distance.
Exactly, yeah, just carrying on, absolutely flying. Damon out front, and like you say as well, Khalib, Hines and Ewan Baker both up 5 and 4 spots at the start of the race, so a solid couple of laps for them, but honestly, it's going to be hard to catch these front two. A 31-0 there by Damon. It's absolutely flying. So it's still all on the line, but it's not long to go though.
No, obviously we've got plenty of racing to be had. Any mistakes can be made. Death just about staying within 9/10 of a second on Damon Woods for now, looking to find a potential opportunity to maybe take a win. But obviously in this case, he probably wouldn't mind coming away with second place. Lewis, may as well make assurances, claim your spot in the grand final.
Like I say, I think even if Cody Death was right under the rear wing of Damon Woods right at this moment, I don't think you'd see him going for a move, because they know that, yeah, again, they're all well aware first and second. That's good enough. They know they'll be going into the grand finale at the moment with their current positions. Did get a few drivers, by the way, out of pit lane as well after their early drama. The other Hides, Liam Hides, along with the likes of Willie Blair. It's not been a good start for a few drivers, but again, you've just got to try and see it out to the checker flag. That's the first step of racing, isn't it? Just try and finish the race that you're currently in as Rajesh drops back behind Ewan Baker.
Yeah, it's been a great drive from Ewan Baker. Now 5 places gained, much like Caleb Hides has also gained 5 places. Remember, starting P9 after that gargantuan fight he put in to try and move his way back inside the top 10 in race 1. And once again, he's putting his best on show here in race 2, but his best might not be good enough to claim qualification through to the grand final. It's a fastest lap though for Cody Death, in direct contrast to Woods, but this time Caleb Hides fastest on the last lap, Lewis.
Yeah, indeed. Like I say, there is at least a podium up there for grabs for Caleb Hides for sure. Third place there, Eric Chow will be feeling that pressure. It's just the thing is, as much as that was the fastest lap coming in from Caleb Hides, it just surely it won't be enough to close down on those top two. That 2.2 second margin in such a short race at just 15 minutes. Rajesh getting a slowdown penalty along with Lee. That was going through the Villeneuve chicane. And so Kai might be able to go for the move for 7th as well, as Tian Zhang will get past on Lee.
Yeah, Zhang up into 11th place as a result of that move on Lee. And obviously, elsewhere, we mentioned, of course, the slowdown being brought in for Rajesh. That would open up the door for Zhongwan Kai to move on through, but he did not take advantage of it at that moment. Remains in behind in 8th place by that same token. Hides now, not Caleb Hides, I should say, folks, but as opposed to Liam Hides, who is currently going wheel to wheel, also with what looks to be Wiley Blair, I think, further back, or is it Cyril? No, yes, Wiley Blair toe-to-toe as they come out of Toaster and through towards the Piratella. And as they look to go side by side, they'll now creep through the Piratella section. Extended a little bit there, Lewis.
There was some creative interpretation there of the track limits running through this back end of the circuit. So that's fine. Look, you get a certain amount of track cuts you're allowed to get away with, and then you get the black flag, which will give you a post-race penalty or even a drive-through. So not... Yeah, if you can use it, fair enough. As Callum Newton will get past on Chen and up into 9th position. Chen having a bit of a moment there in the background, showing these cars, as much as they've got a fair amount of downforce, they're not completely planted round here. You do get a few of those slides, even late on in these 15-minute race. Obviously, these are endurance cars. They're designed for going for a fair while on these tyres. But still, you can see a lot of sliding happening in these cars, and it's quite exciting to watch.
Yeah, obviously, Graham, while these cars do have a lot of downforce, as Lewis did say, it's what you put into them that provides the results, right?
Exactly, right? Even if it is a fixed setup, everyone maybe has a bit different brake bias here or there, drive slightly different, so it all comes drives through a corner differently, you know. So it's still very interesting in that aspect, and yeah, it's some good slides out there we've seen tonight so far.
Yeah, it certainly has been. Ewan Baker, we're back with him now, the Scot, 6th place, and on the back of Leo Lung once more as they come down in towards Ravazza 1, and a slowdown being issued now to Chang in 12th. And we've had a car dropping, that is Lee, who is fallen down the order, and that's at Variante Alta. We mentioned again how trepidatious you sometimes can be coming through that corner there, Graham.
Oh, honestly, it's sometimes when you take off over the first one and you land and the car bottoms out, and then away you go straight into a spin, or sometimes backwards into the wall, as we've seen in the F1 days as well. So it's honestly, it can be an amazing chicane or it can be a nightmare. So never in between.
Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde, obviously, at every which way you look, as we now watch as Park comes down in towards the Tamburello section, chasing after Chanwei Chang over that 12th place. They now look to make their way down the next straight towards the Villeneuve chicane. Quite a contingent of cars here fighting over the P12 position. Obviously no points at stake, but more like, I suppose, bragging rights at this stage, Lewis.
Yep, certainly so. Again, as much as it's one of those ones, you expect it coming into the night. You've got 25 cars out there on the circuit. You know that only 2 go through. You know that it's a high percentage chance that you're not going to be in the top 2. And that's fine sometimes. You know, you just got to go out there and you're accepting that you're in a race. You've got a broadcast. You've got people to race with. It's still, you know, Ferrari Esports, right? Sure, you might not be one of those top 2, but you still want to put on a show and have a good race, surely.
Yeah, so you've got to put yourself in the picture and, you know, at least show that you've got something there to offer to perhaps work with in the future. Obviously, you've got to grow and come from somewhere to potentially come back maybe 12 months on and come back and try and qualify for the Ferrari HP Esports Series. If you're right on board here with Senguin Park, currently down in 13th place. Personal best from Eric Hajau down in 3rd as well, as Park makes a mistake coming out of Ravazza 1, and that's going to cost him. He has got Levi Jordison right in behind, and Jordison's had a rough day of it, and I'm sure he wouldn't hesitate to plant one on Park here.
So, again, such a good catch going through that final corner. I thought that car was being spun completely around there by Park. Was able to catch it. Might not necessarily be able to hold on to the position, but is going to definitely give it a good go. Looks to defend the inside there, going into Tamburello, and does hold the position against Jordison. That is genuine. That's quite impressive because it's so easy after you've had such a moment going into that final corner with that big slide to effectively lose it because it's such a long run on the start-finish straight. But alas, was able to hang on as we head back up to Leung, defending from Ewan Baker, who is knocking at the door for a top 5. Obviously, we've seen the great drive from Caleb Hydes to rise up to 4th position. Ewan Baker has risen up the same amount of positions here, so gaining an extra one would be pretty handy.
Yeah, and obviously with 5 minutes to go now, we have got Hydes fighting for a P3 podium, and we've got Ewan Baker now on the tail of Lung. So some big points on the cards here. Obviously nothing that's really going to strike a potential visit to the grand final here this time. Of course, remember, Hydes needs to win this race, and he needs miserable things to happen to Damon Woods and Cody Deeth as Woods now crosses the line and sets in place a 130.2, 130.9 for Deeth, and a personal best for Eric Hajau as we now take a look at our race leader right now. We've got to take it on the face of it, though, haven't we here, Graham? Caleb Hydes, great drive. Ewan Baker, great drive as well. Take nothing away from those two.
No, absolutely. It's that's how crucial it is to make sure your first race goes well tonight. And the only thing really they can look back on and say, how do I get out of that, is put it on pole position. You know, that's you're in pole, you get round the first corner a bit easier sometimes, right? So it's maybe not under their control as well, the accidents they had, but they've had a superb drive back up from that disaster in the first race. And yeah, what could have been, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, by and large, that is the case. What could have been? Callum Newton now looking to fly up the hill, chasing after Rajesh in 8th, as they now take the Piratella section, one of the fastest corners on the racetrack, and then heading downhill where they'll meet Aqua Minerale and one of the nicest corners as well to look at if you're a spectator in real life, much like in the sim side as well. Personal best for Shirakawa as he now crosses the line, sits in place of 134.457, down in 19th place, trying to close up on Talbot, but he is 23.5 seconds away. That is certainly not going to be a gap that's going to be brought down to any near touching distance anytime soon. And bear in mind, we've only got 3 minutes left. Stan Cow down in 23rd, also on the back of Wiley Blair as they come down in towards the chicane at Villeneuve. A little look at the inside here from Cow as he looks to commit to the inside. Luckily enough, did not try and plumb for it. It would have ended in tears, I think, if they did, as Eric Hajau also posts a personal best. But he has got Caleb Hydes for company as they continue to dice over P3, and Lung and Baker still going at it over P5.
I think these two as well, they're at risk of going a lap down on Damon Woods, at least for a second time. I think they came in for the early on in the race, of course, for damage repair pit stops right on that first lap, and so they're already a lap down, but they might be going a second lap down based on the pace. Damon Woods has started the penultimate lap, I believe, of this race, and so they could have some traffic drama to deal with. You never know, but it's always one of the ones that might be a little bit unsettling for those at the front as Cody Death gets a slow down. Naughty boy.
Yeah, obviously I don't think it's going to be significant enough to have his P2 challenged, but still, nonetheless, it's really extended that gap between himself and Damon Woods, who is now careering onwards 3 seconds up the road on Cody Death as it stands. The next lap, we would imagine, will be the final one, at least we think. They've been lapping at the moment up to and past Liam Hydes as it stands, who currently sits down in 20th place, as you can see from the plus sign next to the time at the lower echelons of the timing screen as the white flag is waved here, Lewis. Damon Woods on one final lap to take an astonishing second victory. Baker into P5.
Yep, again, completely dominant so far in this event. Ewan Baker now getting his way past Leung, and I think this will be the opportune moment for the pass. Got to do it at the outside of Tamburello, though. It's Baker in the white 499, and the bright yellow from Leung goes around the outside of Tamburello. Brilliant move from the Flying Scotsman. That's a fantastic pass, the opening turn.
Yeah, brilliant pass there from Ewan Baker, taking full opportunity, running that straight line speed all the way through Tamburello and running it through towards the Villeneuve chicane at the same time, coming through towards Tosa now and keeping Leung at bay. Obviously, while the P4 position is not in touching distance, at least it is 6 places gained since the very start of the race. It's been an astonishing drive from Baker to recover after the issues of race 1. It could have been oh so different had the start of race 1 perhaps been conducted a little bit more calmly from certain drivers in the field. But Damon Woods will have no complaints with how the sequence has gone here today. Lighting things up in race 1. He's back again after achieving pole, going from lights to flag. There's his reaction cam on the right-hand side. He's looking to make it back-to-back wins here in the Ferrari HP Esports Series, here in the regional finals for the APAC region. It's Damon Woods who secures 2 wins in 2 races and finishes ahead of Cody Death in second place. Both drivers provisionally for now making their way through to the grand final in December, and that is a marvellous way to finish.
Yeah, certainly so. And yes, right in saying it is provisional. Obviously, race control need to check over everything to make sure that everything's all right, but that is more so for the top 2 to see who's actually moving through. And I don't think that across the evening of what we saw here, obviously in the APAC region, I don't think Damon Woods or Cody Death, to be fair, I don't think they were near anyone all night, near enough anyone to make any mistakes. So yeah, I can see those two. They're going to be some big challenges going into our grand final.
Yeah. So. Yeah, obviously signed, sealed, delivered. All results provisional, folks, but we believe, based on what we've seen, obviously Woods and Death have been far apart from a lot of the chaos, unless there's something that we didn't see. I'm sure the stewards will be running through everything just to ensure that everything goes as it should. But Stan Cow, as we're currently seeing him make his way out of Variante Alto, trying to close on the back of Wiley Blair. Still, this has been an ongoing fight over P22. Great drive, though, like we said already. Caleb Hydes, Ewan Baker getting that late move done as well for P5. Brilliant effort on his part as Stan Cow now makes his way through the final corners to cross the line. He's going to have a look up the inside, though, and give us something to shout about here in the closing stages. Cow and Blair side by side on the way down through towards the line. Will it be Cow into P22 or will Blair hang on? I certainly think the 22 might just get there? And yes, he will, of course. It's obviously they've already taken the checkered flag due to being lapped anyway. But we have now come to an end of our second race. Graham, your point of view, Damon Woods, obviously a winner once again, back-to-back races, P1 on both counts, second place going on both counts to Cody Deeth. They were the stars of the show here tonight.
Yep, big congratulations to both Damon and Cody. Absolutely dominant performance tonight. It really was. It's after lap 1 and 2 of the first both the races, it's more or less just a bring it home kind of job, right? And as any driver, that's kind of what you want. So really good job done. But honestly, good job to everyone to even make it to this point, you know. So to be in the series, to sign up for it, everyone's done a good job to get to this point. So congratulations to everyone.
Yeah, honestly, it was brilliant to watch. And obviously on your part and looking back at some of the other contenders, obviously we'll touch on those now very shortly. We'll go through the results first. Remember, all provisional, folks, but for now, it's Damon Woods, top of the shop, 50 points after back-to-back victories, and sits at P1 as well. Will be making his way to the grand final once it's all confirmed. Cody Deeth will be doing the same, 36 points after back-to-back second places, and it's back-to-back thirds. Also for Eric Hajau on 30 points, just 6 points away from Deeth, but will not be making his way through to the grand final. Leo Lung in 4th place on 20. Caleb Hides on 14. Cracking drive to recover like he did. Akash Rajesh in 6th place on 12. Then 7th going Ewan Baker's way on 10, matching with Zhong Wan Kai down in 8th place as well. We move down to 9th. It's Hong Junju on 8 points, and then Tian Tian Zhang on 6 points. Callum Newton on 4, Will Chen on 2, and then zeros for Yuki Shirakawa, King Long Lee, Zefei Lee, as well as Jackie Chung as well, along with the rest of the grid that featured here this evening. The bar of those on 0 as well. But going back to some of those performances as well, Graham, I know we touched on it during the race. Brilliant effort from Caleb Hides, Ewan Baker putting in a stunning display as well. Had this been over a longer format, likely they could have played their part late on, but obviously consisting of 2 races, you need to be on it from the word go.
Exactly. As soon as there's a bit of a problem in race 1, it's always impossible to come back from when you've got 2 guys like Damon and Cody that are just going to bang in the solid performances, make no mistakes throughout the race, apart from a little slowdown at the end from Cody, but I'm sure he had that under control. But it's tough, it really is. It's when you come into a server and you see guys at 11 and 10k, it's a nightmare, right? So it's now hats off to everyone drove really well, and it's good to see a couple of dominant guys, almost a bit like yesterday as well. So we're going to have an exciting final, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just themselves they're representing. Obviously, technically, when we use this format, Lewis, they're representing their region as well, heading into the grand final.
Yeah, exactly. They want their region to be victorious. They almost as well as that whole thing. If you've got the going into that grand final, you've got the region and also the sim. You want it to be someone from your sim and someone from your region, and ideally you. Shock, I know. But look, I've got to say it was a very impressive performance there from Woods and Deeth. I think the big shame though, obviously, was that second row in the race between that of Hides and Baker after qualifying on that second row, after being in a good position and then having it all basically pulled away from them at the opening turn. Similar to what happened yesterday with the likes of Giuseppe Lafaro, and I get the feeling that we're going to see an awful lot of that through these regional finals.
Yeah, and Graham, just want to touch on, because obviously we've got one more region to come later on tonight with the iRacing side of things. Would you expect, coming from your standpoint, if you were part of that Americas region, would you be tuning into this earlier broadcast and also the one from yesterday, sort of undertaking some learnings as to what they've seen in the first 2, maybe just to try and avoid a little bit of the chaos that we've already witnessed?
100%. Unless it's not in your time zone that you're in your bed sleeping and getting some
Some of
rest.
us like to sleep, don't we?
Nah, listen, anything, right? To watch other people driving, maybe they can join the server and go on board for some quali laps, see the weather settings, anything, just to get a little 1 or 2% over your rivals. Anything can make the difference for tonight. So if I was them, 100%, yeah, I'd be watching these broadcasts back, and like I say, maybe trying to get into the server and do whatever you really can to maximize your chance.
Yeah, obviously now we could talk about high points, low points of the day. Lewis, what do you take from today's running so far?
Again, it is just the dominance of the top 2. But the main thing that I would be focused on, and this is more if I was a driver in the Americas region, is kind of the main thing that I would look at is why has on the previous 2 nights in race 1, the third row has had a better start than the second row, which is what's caused the 3 wide and then the drama. It's only happened in race 1, and it's always been the third row out starting the second. So I am being I would be acutely aware of that if I'm starting on the second row, as to why that's happening, because that's where the drama comes from.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Graham? Any final thoughts on your part after what we've seen today?
No, it's been great, right? It's great to see some Scots in there as well. Some
Go
drama.
Scotland.
Yeah, exactly, right. Come on, let's go. Some drama here and there, but also, like I say, it's just great to see like Damon come out there and just sort of nail it, pole and 2 wins. It's really good to see, and I'm sure he'll be over the moon with it. But yeah, it's just great to see loads of Ferraris going around Imola, right? You can't get much better. So, loving every race so far.
Yeah, it's been special. Obviously, folks, we've got plenty more to come. Obviously, a big thank you to my co-presenters and commentators as well, Graham Carroll and Lewis McLeod. Of course, be sure to stay tuned. We are back tonight with more action, this time from the Americas region. So do stay tuned, and also stay tuned to the socials and to, of course, all the live feed channels as well. But from all of us here at the Ferrari HP Esports Series, we'll see you later on. Goodbye.